From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie Butko.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Tuesday, August the 16th, 2022. Yes, we are in the second half of August somehow. I'm not sure how that happened. It seemed like just yesterday we were at training camp, but no. Yeah, August 16th, the date. Ticats Today, the show. Louie Butko, the me. Thanks for checking us out here on the Ticats Audio Network. And speaking of, if you haven't already seen it, Bubba O'Neill had a big guest this week on the CFL this week. The head honcho of the CFL, the commissioner. And you can catch that right here on the Ticats Audio Network. So wherever you found this show, you can go check out Bubba's conversation with Commissioner Randy Ambrosie. So worth checking out. There's a new episode of the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker. You can catch that here on the Ticats Audio Network. And of course, all leading up to game day coverage Saturday as the Ticats take on the Montreal Alouettes. Lots to get to with that game on tap. We'll hear from Coach O, President of Football Ops and head coach. We'll hear from Matt Shiltz. We'll hear from Jovan Santos Knox. And coming up later on, we'll be joined by Coach Sal, John Salavantis. We'll get his thoughts on the past week and look ahead again to the Alouettes on Saturday. All right, Ticats back on the practice field today and don't have the official injury report in my hands yet. So unfortunately, can't really speculate on who is ready to go, who was kind of half participating. So we'll wait for the injury report. And maybe by the time you're listening to this, you go to ticats.ca or the CFL.ca, and they'll have the injury report there for you. But it was clear the Ticats have been bitten by the injury bug. And we asked Coach about that after practice today. And here's what he said about trying to gain chemistry with so many injuries all over the field as the Ticats have seemed to be dealing with right now.
I think what's interesting with injuries is it's the same in training camp. It's the people that are in shape that don't get injured that actually get punished, if you would, meaning they have to take more reps and more and more and more while other people are on the side. So I think it's about finding the right mix of preparation schematically and also the right preparation for their bodies. Day one's always tough. You know, day one we had a lot of people, well, a few people limited, but we had a lot of people push through, and that's what you do. And that's just what we sign up for. And so, you know, everybody's sore, everybody's banged up. You know, some people are able to go, some people need a little bit more time. So we'll be ready to go. That's an interesting question. Yeah, I have an idea of where we're at. I think we understand where we're at right now as we get healthier in certain positions. And I think each week, though, you know, when you're healthy, it just affords you the opportunity to be a little bit more creative or to possibly do things that you weren't able to maybe early on when you had when you're at a disadvantage at some positions. I just think that he prepares, he works hard, he's a pro. I think he's been able to follow some great examples in watching Matthew and obviously Dane. And, you know, like the whole quarterback room, Jalen's in there, you know, bright and early every single morning. And I just think that you're only as good as what you do with your opportunity. And so when the opportunity presented itself. So to say that I was surprised would probably be selling him short a little bit because he wants those moments. As all do all the quarterbacks, but you know only one can play. So, you know, I think he did a great job, and I think obviously without having a lot of film on him, you know, we had a little bit of an advantage. It's easy to say everybody knew he was going to run it, but not necessarily. He could have thrown it just as easy as run it. And now there's some tape on him, so they'll start game planning for him a little bit.
And that is the head coach of the Tiger Cats, Orlondo Steinauer, as he spoke after practice today, talking about a couple things there, including the performance of Jamie Newman in that third quarter, who stepped up. And if you're wondering, Matthew Shiltz was definitely not limited today, took the majority of snaps, and seems like whatever issue that kept him out of the game in the third quarter on Friday doesn't seem to be bothering him to start the week. Speaking of Matthew Shiltz, had a chance to catch up with him after practice today. And just as a reminder, Scrum's available always, ticats.ca, but here's just a little bit of what Matt had to say after practice.
Here and there, you know, we already played him a couple times, so you kind of get those emotions out of the way. And you just got to make it another game. It's going to be a big game for us, just where both teams are in the standings, and being a divisional game, on the road, 2 points on the line, really 4 points, with those kind of games. So it'll be a good battle. Yeah, just to keep on building on what we did last week, not get complacent on it, and continue to strive for that improvement and taking the next steps, right? That game's in the rearview mirror now. We got to, look through the windshield and keep moving forward. But just making the most of our walkthrough reps, our time in the film room, just constant communication, and just kind of keep on growing and seeing how, they come out of breaks and how they act in the huddle and how they're running their routes, and them seeing how I'm kind of throwing the ball, and you just kind of keep on progressing and keep on growing as you move forward. Yeah, it's awesome. And, we always talk in the coaching or in the film room how we want to, be coaches one day, and how it's kind of, just in us for whenever that time comes when, we want to be done playing. But it's awesome having them there. And like I've mentioned before, our relationship is so great that we're able to communicate with each other and kind of know, what we're saying, and how we kind of see the field a little bit differently, how we see it similar, and how we read certain plays. So it's amazing having him there, and I just hope he starts, feeling better. I still have yet to find someone that's faster on the football field than Tim. He's one of the fastest guys that I've ever seen. So we just got a certain look that we were looking for in that play to kind of alert Tim on that. And he made a great adjustment in the air. Depending on where the defender is, that ball can be thrown in a few different spots. So the way he was able to move down the field, make that adjustment on the fly, and then break a tackle and get in the end zone in that big situation was amazing. And the O-line up front, our backs picked up the protection. O-line provided enough time. It was really a team effort on that play. And I know it just looks at the quarterback and the receiver on that play, but it truly took all 12 to make that happen. So it was awesome. It's critical. You hit it right on the head. They bring so much more to the table than obviously just their carries or their receptions out of the backfield, but just their athletic ability and the way they see the football field and the way they see the game as running backs back there make any quarterback's job a lot easier, especially having that confidence in them in the protection game. Knowing that if something does happen or a guy slips through, they're gonna make it right. And they're going to lay their body on the line to get that split second to get a throw up like that. So anytime I see that, they're getting all the love in the film room and in the locker room, because that goes a long way.
And that's quarterback Matthew Shiltz speaking after practice today. Ticats fans, it's time to ride on our strength. From now until October 13th, purchase 4 eligible Hercules passenger or light truck tires to receive a $100 Ticats rewards card and be entered to win our road trip sweepstakes. Available at participating Active Green and Ross locations, or visit HerculesTires.com/AGR rewards. All right, one more piece of sound to get to before we get to our guest, Coach Sal. Let's hear from Jovan Santos Knox. Here's what he had to say after practice today.
Yeah, it's a good change up for a week, I guess. Next week we're back there, but excited for this one. I'm going out to Montreal. Good road trip for the team. I think it'll be a good time for us all to get together and bond. I think you're seeing guys having to step up, and I think in the long run, it's just giving us more experience. I think right now we're heading in a point of our season where, every game really counts, and I think guys are understanding the intensity and just where we are in our season. So, I think guys are ramping it up, and you're going to start seeing that, with our play. Just do your job. It's so simple. Coach says it all the time, just do your 112 pretty much. If you do your job and a defense like what we have, everybody, if we just do your individual assignment, everybody else is going to, everything else will take care of itself. And you're starting to see that with, our D-line. If you let them do what they do, you worry about yourself, it's going to help me out. It's going to help everybody out in the long run. So, with being vocal, I think he's just, everyone respects each other on this defense for sure. And in terms of if you talk, someone says something, hey, you need to get this together. No one takes it personally on our defense. And I think that shows the growth and just where we are as a team. It's amazing. We had a lot of linebackers up last week too. And, we always say, we want to be one of the biggest groups up on game days. And, I think with our performance last week, it showed that, guys are ready, itching, and just ready for their opportunity. And when they got their opportunity, they played fast. Oshan Joseph, he was one who played absolutely fast. Miles Manolo was on the couch last week, came in and played a great game, an amazing game. So guys like that, I'm just so proud of the young guys stepping up and just paying attention to detail and just, selling out for us, because that's what it really is. They put their ego aside and just for us. So it's really appreciative. All-star, like you said, he's one of the best in the league at his position, and it's just by his leadership. One is his leadership, the way he comes with his intensity in practice and just everything the way he prepares. it rubs off. It's contagious, man. And when you have a guy like that in that boundary, it's like cutting half the field in half, especially with how tight the hashes are now. You're really taking a half of the field away. So having Brooksy back it's everything. He's a huge part of our defense, and just happy to have him, Yeah.
That is Jovan Santos Knox, Ticats linebacker, as he spoke after practice today. All right, very pleased now to be joined by Coach Sal, John Salavantis, for some Tuesday salutations. And Coach Sal, let's go back to Friday night. I've said this a couple times this week. I said after the game on Friday, I think that was one of the most complete efforts from all three phases of the football team that we've seen so far this season.
Yeah, I thought they played a complete game for the first time. Special teams corrected the mistakes they had previously and played well. The only concern I really had in the game was the fact that Don Jackson only had 7 carries for 46 yards. Now, you had 2 quarterbacks, Newman and Shiltz, had 11 carries for 70 yards. Now, that's all well and good, but it's unsustainable. Eventually, you're going to get one of those quarterbacks hurt in a run game. So I think you really have to get back to the run game. I thought their pass game was good. They had 1 interception off of a tip ball by a defensive end. That's going to happen. We've seen it before. In fact, Hauser's done it to them. So, overall, Louie, I thought they played as well as they could.
The run game, you talk about Don Jackson, but it was sure nice to see Sean Thomas Erlington hit pay dirt and find the end zone there in that game, wasn't it? Because he's one of those guys that we always have expectations for. And again, when the run game doesn't go and it's not going with Don Jackson, it's great to see a guy like Thomas Erlington find the end zone.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great job of blocking up front. They opened a huge hole for Thomas Erlington. He went through. I think against Montreal, you're going to see those 2 guys, Jackson and Thomas Erlington. They need to touch the ball, not only run it, but be pass receivers also. I think 20 plus times in that game. And the reason I say that is watching the Montreal-Winnipeg game. The fact was that Montreal, their defense changed. Since they've gotten Noel Thorpe there, their defense has changed. I'll go back to that, if you want to go in that direction. But they moved Mike Moore from defensive tackle to defensive end. Now, that seems like just, an ordinary change. He comes up with 5 tackles and 2 sacks in that ball game and an enormous amount of pressure on Zach Collaros. So that in itself, the only way Winnipeg could hurt them, it seemed like, was in the run game. They were able to run for a 5.6 yard average in the run game. So that's what leads me to think that Hamilton needs to run the ball. When you're in the pass rush mode by your front 4, coming as hard as they were in the Winnipeg game, they're susceptible to the run because they get knocked out of their run lanes. So if the O-line can continue to block as well as they did on Thomas Erlington's touchdown, you're going to see some breakaway runs.
Want to talk about the offensive line. It's a great segue there because they're going 3 Canadians on the offensive line, and we've seen them in the past, use that offensive line as a ratio breaker. But the Ticats clearly liked something what they saw the week before, keeping that offensive line the same. What have you seen from that spot on the football field, and what does that continuity mean week to week, having those same core 5 guys up front?
Well, we talk about that all the time. That's one of the keys to good offensive line play. Keep the same 5 guys in that box all the time. And previously, they hadn't been able to do that. I think Kelly is showing well on the right side to be able to handle the pass rush over there. I like the way Vornkala is playing on the left side. I really like the interior guys coming together. You see them blocking now where they're doubling up on one guy and getting up on the linebacker, peeling off on the run game to the outside in the bubble screens, etc. So, to me, the continuity in the line is key to having good line play.
And that transition, let's go behind the line, and that's the quarterback in Matthew Shiltz. Only played 3 quarters. It was great to see him come back. But what was your initial impression on Matthew Shiltz as QB1? What did you take away from his performance?
Well, I thought he was up to the task. It wasn't spectacular by any means, but at the same time, he overcame the adversity of that tip ball by the DN that was intercepted early in the ball game. He overcame whatever injury he had, went in the locker room, came back out, and was still slinging the ball very hard and very well. So, I think Matthew has looked at it and said, okay, this is my opportunity, and he's taken the reins.
And because last week was such a short week with practice and with the same opponent, a quick turnaround, do you get the sense that this week in practice, it'll be a little more important for Matthew and maybe even Jamie Newman to get some reps here with his receivers and to really be all on the same page?
Well, with Newman, in regards to Newman, they have to give him some time, but you can't spend a lot of time on what is or was your third quarterback. You've got to really concentrate on your number one. But you give Newman some time in practice to throw the ball to those receivers. Now, we see him as a big, strong, physical type player, but we haven't seen him throw the ball. He threw it twice for 2 receptions for basically nothing in that ball game. But I think Shiltz needs to really concentrate. The next 3 games basically are 4-point games. Each of them are 4-point games. It's Montreal, Toronto, and Toronto. By Labor Day, Louie, we could be in number 1 position in the East. All we have to do is take care of business in the East. And the only thing that bothers you a little bit is we're 0-4 on the road. But those 4 road games were tough road games, to say the least. So I think going into Montreal, Shiltz needs a lot of practice time in the timing routes, getting his timing down with those receivers that are going to be in there. He had different receivers, but from the first couple of ball games because of injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the 3 Canadians receivers, we haven't seen that in a while on this Ticats team. Transitioning into what you'd be watching at practice today, Coach. What would you have your eye on this week? Where would you think the areas of I don't want to say most concerned, but the areas that you think maybe need a little more improvement heading into Montreal?
Well, I think the first thing the coaching staff will do is look at the strengths of what Shiltz did in the ball game and try to build on those. I would like to see a little more play action type pass where he's using Jackson in the backfield with the fake to him and then the quick pass. And the reason I say that is Montreal likes to bring the will halfback type blitz. With Sutton on the weak side of the field, they'd like to blitz him. If you can go with a quick inside fake to Jackson and pull up and hit that slot on that weak side coming to the inside, you can get a lot of first downs that way. And basically, Shiltz has got to handle himself. I don't want to say manage the ball game, but he's got to engineer his drives to where he's getting first downs. If it's second down and you're looking at 4 yards, you don't always need to go deep with the ball. Get the 4 yards out of that, get the first downs. Now you're engineering your drive, you're keeping your drive alive, you're getting your second down conversions, and you're moving the chains.
Coach, appreciate your insights as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, Louie, I'll talk to you again.
My thanks to Coach Sal for stopping by today, and my thanks to you for checking us out here on the Ticats Audio Network. Ticats fans, it's time to ride on our strength. From now until October 13th, purchase 4 eligible Hercules passenger or light truck tires to receive a $100 Ticats rewards card and be entered to win our road trip sweepstakes. Available at participating Active Green and Ross, Ontario locations, or visit HerculesTires.com/AGR rewards. That'll do it for us today. Thanks so much for checking us out. We are back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Louie Butko. Hoping you have a great day.
Ticats Today can be heard every weekday, and we would like to hear from you. Email us at gameday@ticats.ca. Have a question or an opinion? We want to hear it. That's gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.